Okay, and we're on. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining this edition of Jitsi's bi-weekly community call. Since last time I learned that officially, according to the dictionary, bi-weekly can mean twice a week and every 2 weeks. Which is weird because I thought that all the people who said it was it could be twice a week, I thought they were all wrong. But apparently, no. The dictionary says it can mean both. Although Wikipedia says that it is more often used as something that occurs every 2 weeks. So, um, okay, that's enough for a fun fact, I guess. Now, let's uh, let's go around the table and see what we've been doing in the past couple of weeks. So, let's see, where do I start here? Um, there's someone blonde who I don't know, and then we have so. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the progresses on mobile?
Yeah, sure thing. So I've been mostly working on audio only, an audio only mode for mobile. And all it entails. This means we mute the local video, uh, tell the bridge to stop sending us remote video, uh, engage the screen lock so the screen is allowed to dim, and also enable a proximity sensor. So if you bring it to your ear, you don't like miss hang up or something, and all the things associated with this was mostly what I did, I think. Then there was some rough code organizational things to be taken care of, not much. Now we are in the applications review phase, which goes until next Monday. So I'll be looking at that too. And I think that's pretty much
All
it
right.
from my side.
Thank you very much. So, by the way, the audio only mode is likely going to be something that we also introduce in that we will support in Jitsi Meet for Web as well. Um,
Oh, yeah, true that.
and we're currently thinking of potentially handling that with a slider in the toolbar that will have three positions, which will be no video at all in either direction. The second position will be just a little bit of video, which will be basically thumbnail quality, and the third position will be as much as you can get. So we've had a lot of requests for that from people who specifically will not be happy with bandwidth estimations because they have a good connection, but they're paying too much for it, and in those cases they just want to be able to limit what they are receiving. Satellite dishes are a common match here because you have a lot of bandwidth, but it also costs a lot of money, so you don't want to be using everything that's available. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
Oh,
you.
one last thing I just remembered because I see him here. What I'm busy with right now, which I started technically last week, is integration of call stats in the mobile app as well. You see,
Um,
in the React Native universe.
and we can talk a little bit about that
Yeah.
after we're done with the walkthrough because I did have some questions there. Um,
Mhm.
okay, Lubo, do you have something to add to the mobile stuff?
Yeah, so I've been working on bringing in the toolbar from the web into rewriting it into React so that we can one day share it with the mobile. We also, apart from enabling audio-only mode in the app, we also brought back the toggling of the camera, which uses which is much faster and actually works in contrast from before. We also merged into master sharing the conference URL for a native sharing functionality like a sheet or something on Android and iOS. And yeah, we're continuing with stabilization as WebRTC isn't very 57 isn't really the nicest thing on mobile at the moment because it introduces a lot of slowness related to the camera, so we'll have to work on that.
Uh, can you venture an estimate into how far along we are at the path of actually sharing the toolbar?
Um, there probably there's work to be done. Probably like 75%. But
Okay, thank you very much. I want to. George is in vacation this week, so I wanted to give an update for him. He has been spending heroic efforts on stabilizing adaptivity, and we believe we're at a very stable state right now. We're probably going to update Jitsi this week. He fixed a number of issues around RTX, around excessive use of FIRs and keyframes in certain scenarios. So he has temporal scalability stabilized as well. And all of this is in master, I believe. And we hope to bring it to Jitsi later this week and at the latest next week. So that's pretty good news because we've been leading that for we've been working on that for quite a while. So Pavel made excellent progress on peer-to-peer for 101. That is working really nicely now. You guys can now test it on beta Jitsi. It would also be part on Jitsi for the next update. It really works very, very well. We hope that this would increase the general experience for, should improve the general experience for everyone using either Jitsi or their own installation of Jitsi Meet. The point being that when you're doing one-to-one, we did notice some minor differences in latency, but they're in the order of like 10, 20 milliseconds. The really cool part is that the Chrome WebRTC stack gets to talk to itself. And so you have an encoder talking directly to two encoders talking directly, so they can adapt in a very fine-grained way to bandwidth estimates. And rather than just the layered approach of simulcast and SVC, now they can basically go through a lot of steps and adapt very quickly. So that's pretty nice. Pavel, do you want to add something on this?
Maybe only some technical stuff that in the past 2 weeks I was fixing some details around the implementation, and we changed our strategy there. So when we switch to peer-to-peer, we need to make JVB connection inactive, like to not send any data on it, but to keep it alive. So now instead of removing media streams, we are just changing SDP direction to inactive. So that was bigger change, and I was doing some minor fixes there. And
but we do that just for the video line, right?
No, for both audio and video.
How about data though?
No, it stays.
Yeah, right. Because we keep using that for the stats, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
And as for the stats, I also have a PR which will report the peer-to-peer connection to call stats. It's almost finished, so should be there soon. I think that's
right.
all.
And we, Karthik, because you're here. So first of all, to comment, Gus, every single meet call has always gone through the bridge. The point of this PR is to make them direct when that is possible, and in a way that the handover is not bothering to the user. And if you try that on beta Jitsi, you see that basically we start on the bridge, we quickly move on one-to-one, and then if a third participant joins, we move to the bridge again, and if they leave, we move to one-to-one again. So all of this is working really smoothly, and that was the challenge. I think we still have some question marks around how CoStats handles multiple peer connections in terms of objective quality, and whether the empty peer connection would somehow penalize the result for the objective quality of the entire call. Karthik, can you maybe share something here?
Yeah, this is a very interesting use case for us, and our engineers are looking into this case. And I think there will be a new version of objective quality considering this case, we'll be fine-tuning it.
But so you are confirming that currently it wouldn't be handled in an optimal way?
I'm not sure currently how it will be handled, because we see it's basically the variance of the stats. If it goes to 0 and again comes up, then you will see some wrong calculations for the quality. But yeah, we are looking into this issue, and we'll be fixing it very soon.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Can you tell me, like, when will it be going to the production, or Jitsi or HipChat or something?
Likely it will probably go on Jitsi. It's with the same update that I discussed a few minutes ago. So that will probably be later this week or very early next week. You can already test it on beta.me.jitsi.
Okay, sure.
And that system already logs.
Yeah, we'll try to fix this before it goes live with Jitsi.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sorry, can I interrupt? So actually, beta is not yet reporting to Colstat, so
yeah,
it
right.
will
Actually,
be, but it's true.
That's correct.
Okay, so if you can make some account reporting to us, then it will be like good to see like how it works.
Yeah, I think Pavel is going to do that today or tomorrow. It's a matter of merging that. Am I correct, Pavel?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks. So let's see who else we have here. So Jana and Hristo and Lenny. I'm not sure if Lenny is on the call. Lenny, are you here? Maybe not. So Jana, Lenny, and Hristo have been working on the API, the iframe API, and a bunch of related issues. Lenny specifically is changing the way you switch your audio and video devices in Meet. And there will be a new... I'm going to answer you in a second, Gus. So there will be a new dialogue for changing devices. That's actually going to be a dialogue. And that dialogue will have a preview, which you don't currently have. So if it turns out that you've selected the wrong camera that points at the wrong place of your room that you really didn't want to have disclosed in a video conference, well, now this will solve this problem. But really the real reason we started looking into this is because if you're using the iframe API of Jitsi Meet and you're using it in a film strip only mode, then really there's no way for you to change these devices. So that's what we're trying to fix. And I think Jana has made progress on adding a toolbar for the film strip mode. Jana, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's just we have added some, like, for now we just have audio, video mute and hang up buttons there, but we yeah, we wanted to add a toolbar in the film strip only mode as well, and we'll probably work there on adding some like a more button and extending the toolbar so that we can make possible to expose more functionality in a film strip only mode. And that's it.
Okay, thanks. Boris is back from vacation. He'll be resuming work on WebSockets, using WebSockets instead of data channels. We've been battling USR SCTP for quite a long time, and it's still not stable enough for us. So we're considering completely, making WebSockets the preferred approach for doing what we currently do with data channels. This is statistics and a few commands exchanged with the bridge. So we'll see how that goes. So Gus, did you want to, actually that topic that you were discussing in the chat, we can probably talk about it in the second part of the call, because it definitely is interesting. Okay, Damien, would you like to share something?
Oh, I've been working on adding peer connection statuses, so we distinguish states when using last 10, like appear is inactive, it's restoring, coming from inactive to active, stuff like that. And I'm now back to I'm adding an option in Jitsi to be scalable, like on Jitsi to log into multiple XMPP servers, and from there it will receive control messages and start calls. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty cool. And yes, by the way, we do have a lot of work around Jitsi, so whoever's using it, you should be seeing it becoming more and more stable as we go forward with that. Okay, have I missed anyone? Everyone has their video off, so it's quite a challenge to determine. But let's see, anyone else who has made interesting contributions in the past couple of weeks? Going once, going twice. All right, so let's move to the second part of the call. There's this discussion. Oh, Jibri subdomain update. I'm not sure what that means. Roy, can you maybe clarify?
Sorry, Aaron pushed a update to Jibri, adding subdomain support on Jibri, and I was wondering what that enables.
That's a great question. I think what this is about is we're changing meat and prosodies modules that we have to be able to cater to sort of a multi-tenant situation where different tenants are represented by different subdomains. So, for example, you might have acme.example.com and Microsoft.example.com and Apple.example.com and Atlassian.example.com all handled by a single installation on example.com. And if you have Atlassian.example.com/myvideoroom and also Apple.example.com/myvideoroom, those would actually be two different rooms. In other words, Prosody and Gcalfo and everyone would be aware of the subdomain, even though it's all leading to the same installation. Today you can sort of do this, but like if you have rooms with matching names, then they would conflict, so they would all go to the same room, and we're trying to separate that. So Aaron's patch was about making sure that Jibri is also aware of this subtlety. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great addition. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Roy. Okay, going to the discussion started by Gus. And by the way, if anyone wanted an update on anything else, don't hesitate to talk or raise your hand. So yes, Gus, there's never been P2P before, so that should have helped not issues significantly. And I think that Boris's suggestion that maybe there was a problem with the TCP configuration on that server, I think that's the most likely. That's what we've seen in the past most often. So there's that. Okay. Anyone else? Anything else to discuss? So go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up we have like a small ongoing discussion in the issue tracker about Docker support, which some people seem to like, and we're kind of trying to come up with a story for it, let's say. So how do we do it, and where do we do it? So I think I outlined my thoughts on the matter, on the issue itself. And well, the idea was to bring it to this call so that everyone was sort of on board, and those who had an opinion or knowledge could share.
Would you maybe summarize the discussion
in
the tracker so that everyone is aware of the pros and cons?
Yeah, it's not about pros and cons, rather it's more about execution, really. So the thing is, because Docker is designed around one application, one container, we ran into this interesting dilemma of, well, Jitsi Meet is a collection of lots of moving parts. So if we are to support some Docker container, how do we do it in such a way that, well, it illustrates what you can do, but at the same time, it's kind of close to production. So I'm not sure if anybody is sort of volunteering to take the work. My suggestion was, well, we could do one big fat container for those who want to try it, because realistic deployment in that environment, like at that level, is kind of not happening at the moment.
Right. So the whole point of having a Docker container, to me, is to facilitate installations, make it easier for people to get this running. If you require people to run 5 Docker containers and configure them to know each other, then that sort of makes it even harder to do than with the Debian packages. So
yeah. So the thing is that in the end, you can orchestrate all that stuff with we could.
But
ship
then that's not a Docker support anymore. That's not, we're talking, what is this, like Kubernetes support?
No,
or,
but it could be done with Docker Swarm or Docker Compose to be simpler. So they are Docker native tools. It's not external tools.
Oh, right, there's that, yes.
With it. I still think that the starting approach, I would do like a Jitsi in a box, if you will, which is a Docker container based on, there's a base image by Fusion, the makers of Passenger, which is designed to run multiple processes, SSH, and all this stuff, and real init system. So you can install all the things there, and then everything would run in a single container. My usual gripe with it is the fact that many people will try to run this in macOS. And in macOS, it runs on a Linux virtual machine, which you are not aware of. So you think that just by opening up a port, it's going to fly. But then nobody is going to forward data from, you're going to get the IP addresses on the SDP wrong, because the container only knows about itself and not about the host system, which is different. This doesn't happen if you do it on Linux.
But we can handle that with the stun support in the bridge. As long as there's is the mapping like static port mapping, or is it regular NAT?
Yeah, because you can do the mapping. You can tell, hey, this is the mapping. But the thing is, the mapping you do is between the virtual machine and the container. But in macOS, you have one extra layer, which is you are in macOS, but Docker is running on a Linux virtual machine. So when you forward the ports, they're forwarded to the Linux virtual machine. And you have the other thing in the middle, which is if somebody else connects to your container, in the end, it connects to your machine, which needs to connect to the VM, which then connects to the container. And last time I tried, I couldn't solve this issue for the media ports. So that's kind of the thing that detracts me a little bit from attempting, because, well, all the hipster developers are using a Mac, and if it doesn't work there, then, well, it's not any good.
I don't know if that's the main problem that we're solving here.
That's
again,
my 2 cents.
What the value that I see in this whole thing is that if someone wants to, that Jitsi has a sort of a non-trivial installation process.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
There's someone producing noise. Anyways, there's a non-trivial installation process for Jitsi, and if people want to adopt it for a small company or a small organization, it is very hard for them to do so. And a big fat container will definitely solve that issue. Now, the whole thing with the orchestration with Docker Swarm also sounds like a solution. I have no idea how easy that is to work with for these exact people, small organizations and companies. So I don't have a strong opinion on this. Does anyone else have one?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I think if you want to install a single instance, you just need Docker. You don't need Swarm or anything else around it. So if you just want to make a big fat container, just make a Docker file. And...
Right, but that's correct, and that's why I was thinking that was one solution. But then it also, I guess the whole thing with Docker Swarm is that you could potentially solve your scalability issues that way. So you have your systems preset in a way that you could then easily extend to make it bigger and fatter. And that's not possible with.
But it also has its own set of complications too.
Yes. So I still think I'm leaning on the big fat image side because it would be much less harder to put out there. Now, one of the complaints that I heard about this contribution is that it was a little bit too invasive right now. And I think, Damien, you mentioned it was copying source code around or something like that. I don't know if that was resolved. I haven't followed the discussion. So, but anyways, I'm not sure what we were looking for. There's definitely, I don't believe there's any. Are there any objections to the big fat Docker image? I guess not. So let's move on. Anything else to discuss? I'm going to leave it going for 15 more seconds. If you want to discuss a topic, now's your chance. Anything is welcome. Ten more seconds.
Hi guys, this is Arno with Symfony.
Oh, hey Arno.
Yeah, we got this the discussion around the release notes, how we could generate them, how we could publish them. So I had to go to Git and get all the logs, all the commits, to understand the difference between the version that is deployed on Jitsi, the one that is deployed on beta, the one that we deploy ourselves internally. And I would like to bring that on the table because there is no easy way to know what is included in a given version on GitHub.
Right.
We have some tags, but
right. So I think you volunteered when we talked to create release notes yourself. So if you want to, my suggestion would be, if you want to just go through the commit logs, put them in some form of a shared document somewhere, and do a first pass over them, and then we'll make sure that we do another behind, and then that should be a good way to have an easily usable list of changes. I still think that's a good idea. Would that work for you?
sure. So I have the spreadsheet. I can share it, but I'm wondering what's the best way to publish it. I mean, having a Google Doc on the side.
Yeah, that would work. Just yes, that for example would work, and create a bullet list there. You can remove anything that seems minor to you, and then and when you're ready, you send it to us, and we'll try to do that for. So I guess what we can do is on every release to meet, we'll ping you, and we'll give you the number of the release that we've done, which would be our stable basically, and then you can do the list, and then we'll go in and try to clarify whatever's missing.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. There's a question from Roy about the difference between Prosody and eJabber. Will there be more eJabber dev? Was there any eJabber dev at any point? I'm not sure. So basically, on the whole, you should be able to run Meet with eJabber. We do have a few extra modules that we add to Prosody, but they represent specific features. You can check them out in the Prosody modules directory in the project. They do things like supporting everyone being a moderator. So there you go. Gus is telling us that this also works on OpenFire. Basically, we do not only exist in Prosody. So the only things that are missing are certain side features that none of it should be breaking need support. So I hope that answers the question. And if you want to have the features that are in the Prosody modules, then unfortunately you'd have to do the equivalent for eJabberD. That said, because this discussion comes up often, I'd like to take this a step further. There's really no reason why you would care about doing that with eJabberD, that's actually not the right way to put it, because people have preferences. What I meant to say is that oftentimes people say, we want to use eJabberD because we already use that for another installation. And in this case, that's not really, I don't personally see that as a big reason. You don't need Jitsi Meet. It currently has no features that would make it interesting for you to put it on the same XMPP server as the one that you already have running in production. So you could have an existing eJabberD installation and use it happily for whatever you're doing, and then you can just run Prosody separately. And we've done a bunch of applications to get that already actually HipChat uses XMPP in the background. It uses XMPP servers that are completely different from Prosody, that doesn't prevent from the Jitsi Meet installation to use Prosody. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Really, I have nothing against eJabberD. It's a great server, but just make sure that if you're thinking you need to reuse your existing installation, you think twice, because maybe you can go around that. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Gus, what do you mean by authentication?
Well, especially in established organizations, there might be a reason to reuse a certain setup because that has been previously provisioned with all of the users and stuff that are allowed to make use of it. Meet.jitsi, the one that we're using now, that's all open and public. But I've seen instances where people are required to authenticate before being able to use the service. So that might be a to reuse something that's already.
That's a good point, and that might be a reason. But it would be worth considering whatever backend is being used for authentication. It may be that Prosody would also be able to connect to that. I think Prosody.
It's not a showstopper of any kind. But sometimes it's easier to use something that is already in place and doesn't have to go through all commissions and committees that govern things. But that's just a small thing.
Okay. Well, anyways, I again, this is not to argue against eJabberD in any way. These are the three major servers that we have out there right now, but I just want to make sure that people don't feel blocked by this. There's things to consider. Okay. Now, does anyone else have any other topic to discuss? I'm going to give it 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Thank you, everyone, for joining this edition of the Community Call, and see you all again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.